Hi, Yücel. How are you doing today?
Hi, Justin. I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm very good, very good. Thank you for coming onto the podcast and for sharing your expertise with all of our listeners. My first question for you, I wanted maybe you take a minute or so just to explain to people who don't know you, who you are and what you're currently doing.
Good to be here. Thank you very much. And it's my pleasure to join your podcast. My name is Yücel Tekin. I'm PhD doctor on educational technology. I have my own company named Robotum. Robotum means my robot
Mm.
in English. It means my robot. So in my company, I'm working on new teaching technologies like robotics teaching and designing, computer aid designing, and so on. From kindergarten to high school, 12th level, 12th grade students, I have a workshop center, after school center. I am giving after school courses to children from kindergarten to high school. And also I'm giving advisory to uh, different schools, different level schools. And I have my own computer and robotic courses laboratory. I design a laboratory.
Oh, wow. And yeah, so it sounds like you're doing a lot at Robotum. What's, I guess, your favorite or maybe the most rewarding part of your work with the company or your work, working with kids? What's the most valuable part of your day, would you say?
The most valuable part of my job is you're preparing kids for the next century. You know, the 21st century is very important, and the 21st century skills are very important. By the way, I have another business I'm doing with university, one of the leading university of Turkey. Its name is Baskinet University. And with that university, I have a teachers training program. It's very important. In this program, we are teaching teachers who are aiming to teach computer and robotics. And I'm giving robotics courses to the teachers. Teachers are from all around the world, so some of them doesn't have physical robotics sets, robotics educational set. So I'm using a virtual robotics set. You know, virtual robotics set is very amazing. How did I discover this robot? I want to share this story. It's very uh, important for me. When I was in a course, in a physical course, teacher training course, one of the ladies asked me how to try her code at home. She said she doesn't have a robotics set and it's very expensive. And I began to search on the internet and I found virtual robotics toolkit. And I sent a message to CEO of the company, Cognition Robotics CEO. Uh, and Larry, he's my really very good friend. Uh, and he answered me, our journey begins with that email. Then I became a distributor of the company, the Virtual Robotics Toolkit, and I prepare a course using this Virtual Robotics Toolkit. So I have been giving that course for the last 2 years, and it has been 2 years, and I think I taught more than 5,000 teachers by using this robotics toolkit. This is
Wow.
an amazing story for me.
Yeah, wow, 5,000. I knew that you were running that course, but I had no idea it was that many teachers and yeah, students. Wow. Um, what's, I guess, the one thing, if you had to pick just one that you learn from, this experience teaching, not just with virtual robotics toolkit, but, teaching these courses, everything that you do, what do you learn from your students and the other trainers?
Teaching is interactive activity. While you are teaching, you are learning at the same time. And my students are all around Turkey, and some of them living in a very bad condition. And so uh, this is very proud of me because I'm teaching them virtually and with an online course, and it's very good experience for me to reach them, because they can't reach this kind of education without an online course. And this is a very impressive part of my job, to reaching the people with disadvantaged people. I can reach disadvantaged people by this way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great, what you're doing, giving some disadvantaged people a chance to, have an equal opportunity for the same or your similar education. Yeah, it's very, very important what you're doing. Um, I know I read in an article somewhere that, you have a son and he brought robots to his school one time and he was just so proud of that. What did that feel like to you as a parent when, he was describing how excited he was and how excited his friends were when he brought robots to school? Yeah, what did that feel like for you?
My son is very, very smart, and he likes to in studying with robots, and he's actually he's one of my first students while teaching robots. So he has many experience in first uh, Lego League. He has more than 5 season experience in first Lego League, and he also has more than 5 season WRO experience. And now he is in my FRC first robotics team, and he is the second year in the first robotics team. And I believe that he is ready to he's just in the second year of the high school. He has 2 more years to begin the university, but he can code with using Java and the Python, and I think he's ready for the university life 2 years earlier. Yeah,
Wow,
and
wow.
I'm
So
very proud of him.
yeah, I bet. Like, what's that feel like knowing that your son can, code in those languages? Like, are you surprised? Were you you know, or do you feel like you can just let him go and be ready for the real world now, or what's that feel like to you?
One day I offer him to begin in my company right away, and I asked him that can you begin tomorrow in my company to as a teacher? And he said no, I should go to university. uh, yes, I didn't get surprised because I knew that this direction is the right direction, because since his 11 years, he's in the coding, he's in the robotics teaching environment. Uh, we went to international robotics competitions and the local robotics competitions, and uh, you know what is the important side of being in robotics activities? You need to solve a lot of problem. You need to solve a lot of physical problem, and this gets ready you for the real life problem. And if you can get over solving this kind of problem, and mathematics problem and the other science problem will be very easy for you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I certainly agree with you there. You have been teaching with virtual robotics as well as physical robotics, I know. What's one thing that you've noticed has been the greatest advantage to teaching with virtual versus physical, if there are any? What's one, yeah, major advantage that physical robots just don't provide?
I think physical robots are better educational tools for younger kids, especially between the age 8 and 11. But after 11 years old, I think virtual robotics is the best way, because with the virtual robotics, you can do anything in your computer. Why? For example, I'm preparing my all lessons at home by using virtual robotics. I don't have a big table at my home. I can lay down on sofa and put my laptop on my hack, and then I can prepare my content using virtual robotics toolkit, and I can reach out people online, and virtual robot is, I believe, as effective as real robots, physical robots.
Hmm.
It's maybe sometimes it's more practical than the real robots.
Hey, yeah, yeah. And one thing that I noticed, about virtual was that, you could play with the gravity. I mean, I'm still very new to the software because, I haven't been with the company that long, but I was playing with the gravity settings and I was like, whoa, you can put zero gravity, you can make it go
Yes.
opposite direction. And I was like, wow, like, you could never do that in real life. So, I mean, that was just really fun to play around with. And yeah, just all the different physics settings. So cool. Um, what I guess what are you excited about in the next maybe 10 years or so for not just the world of STEAM, but technology, and anything related to technology, science, engineering, or mathematics, arts? What are you excited about? What advancements are you predicting and waiting to see?
In the next 10 years, I think we will live a lot of experience in health sector, in medical sector, and all the medical tests will be on the home site. Now we are going to a medical center, and we have some medical tests at the center, and most of the tests is on. You should go to a medical center. I think in the next 10 years, most of the medical tests will be on home site, and by using wearable technologies. I think we will see a lot of new materials and new technologies in the medical side. It will be the first, how can I say, first market will be very effective with new technologies. Medical market, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly agree. They're moving so fast in that area that I'm sure in the next 10 years, I won't be able to even recognize, what the medical field of today is like. Um, you have a really interesting background. You started out in defense, I know, and then you transitioned to education and of course, science and technology. What has
Yes.
that transition been like for you? And would there be any advice that you could give to someone maybe out there who's considering a similar transition? Maybe they're, like in a role right now and they want to get into education, or they maybe want to change career paths. What was that like for you?
Justin, actually, life is changing very fast, and we need to change ourselves also. In the in the earlier days, for example, in our parents' life, people wasn't changing too much, but in their time, life is also not changing too much. In our time, life is changing very fast. If you think about 20 years before, 20 years ago, there was no Facebook, and there was no smart watches, and there was no smart telephones, and life is changing so very fast. I graduated from a military school, and I was a military officer. And I retired from the military as a colonel. I as a I'm a retired colonel, and during my military service, I finished my computer science education. It was a military program, and actually I studied management during my war school study. I studied management, and then 8 years later, I finished computer science. I graduated from computer science from the university. I give a 1 year. We let us go to university for 1 year, and I finished computer science. And when I come back from the university, I served as a computer officer. And when I before retiring from the military, I also finished my master of thesis on distance education. And when I retired from the military, I was finished my master on educational technology. So I began as a distance education center director in one of the university, and I have a 4-year experience as a distance learning center director. And during those days, I also finished my PhD. It was on teaching. It was on mathematics teaching by using robotics. So I changed step by step, you can say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that sounds like a really interesting career trajectory, and sounds like you have a lot of different types of experiences. It's
Yes.
really, really interesting to hear about. I've read in a couple past articles that you were featured in that, you think that in the future, correct me if I'm wrong, but the future, the classroom is going to be much less physical, and, the walls of the classroom are going to evaporate, and it's going to be, more distance and more online. And I believe you said that 50% of all departments are going to be like online. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I gave an interview, and I said that I gave an interview 1 year ago, before the pandemic, and I said that most part of the education will be online. Maybe the 50% will be online in a soon, and then after pandemic, it got through. And I believe that educational will also change. education will also change. Education should be very individual activity. In my workshop center, there is no classroom teaching. In my workshop center, there are 10 students in 1 hour, maybe 10 students, and 10 students are doing 10 different things. They are following the same program, but their pace are different, and so the program consists of 30 lessons. One can finish the 30 lessons in 15 weeks. Maybe the others can finish that program 45 in 45 weeks. It depends on your early life and your knowledge level, your age, and different factors. So education must be individual.
I certainly agree. And I'm not sure if you're, familiar with Atilim University. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of his name, but he's a 10-year-old boy, and, he was very advanced in his education journey. And he was very upset that he couldn't apply to some jobs because he wasn't old enough, or, he was very upset that he was being held back in school. So, your notion that education should be very personal is reminding me a lot of what he has said too, because he's like, yeah, I just want to have, my individual education. I don't want to be stuck with everyone else. And yeah, that's great. I certainly agree there. I want to be respectful of your time, and I have really enjoyed my conversation with you today, but I'll just ask you one more thing. If you could get one message out to, every student, every teacher, what would that be, if you could, share it to the world just by saying it now?
I think I should say that if you want to do something, just begin very fast and do some prototype. Don't wait for complex planning and so on. I always begin very fast, and I always begin to finish a prototype. Then that prototype will help you to improve yourself.
Yes.
Start immediately. What do you think?
I agree. That's a great message. And yeah, thank you once again for coming onto the podcast. Would you like to share any, social media links, maybe your own personal Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or maybe your company social media?
Maybe they can follow me from Robotum _.net.
Robotum_.net. Great.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Yücel, once again for speaking with me. I had a great time talking.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much, Justin.